Good morning, everyone. Today is March 22nd, and it's day 2 of our All About Techniques Global Inspiration Stamp Team Weekend. Here I am at On Stage last week. I can't even remember what day it was, probably for Friday, when I received my new annual catalog for 2025-2026. And it was a very exciting moment. We were all super, super excited to get our new catalogs, open them up, and see what new products we have to play with. But as someone mentioned yesterday, I think it was Katie in her video, we wanted to give you a weekend of projects that weren't specifically tied to products that you could use with anything in your stash, that you can use with items that you may be able to get at a discount if some of the products from that are closing out may become discounted at some point. You can use with something you've had forever in your stash and keep it for something coming up new. So I love working with patterned paper, and so that is why I chose the Mosaic background technique. I had never done it before. It was on the list that one of our presenters had shared with ideas. I apologize, I can't remember how it came to that, but I saw the list of it and I thought, that's one I've never done. Gotta do it. All right, so yesterday you had Sandra, Jackie, Katie, and Joy doing their presentations. I haven't watched them all myself yet. And then Chrissy came on, and with a busy life she's got going on right now, she's going to post one on Monday, which is really appreciated. So you got something to look forward to after we're done the weekend. All right, so I said that I was doing the mosaic tile technique, and I've made 4 cards to sort of show you before we jump into the how-to. All right, this is the first one I did, and you know what? Your first one is the one you love the most, right? So it's a whole bunch of teeny tiny pieces of cut pattern paper that matches, and you can see there's an embossed pattern on the back of it. So I'm excited to show you how that works because it is different. And then I think I did this one. Oh, so that was silver. That was silver on the inside. So going with whatever pattern paper I had, that's what embossing powder I chose. And I did have kind of a reason to use all the different ones. This one is the white embossing powder. I found it was a little less crisp, and I don't know if it was my paper underneath. Pardon me. I don't know if it was the paper underneath or what. I've had a terrible cold all week. And I do hope I can get through the video. So this is that one, and then I wanted to do it in black as well. And I'm really, really happy with how this one pops off the page against the Friends of the Ocean paper. And finally, I did a snippet one, a smaller version of one that I think might work for a class of mine where doing the entire layer might be a little overwhelming, but doing a sample piece would be fun. And this is with the clear embossing powder. All right, let's get going. We're going to pretend that the cold is not here. I'm going to show you a couple of other techniques too. All right, I'm going to pull in some scratch paper here. I really apologize for my throat and the coughing. There isn't much I can do about it, so we will forge ahead. You need a few supplies for this, and I grabbed some different ribbons because I wasn't quite sure how this was all going to turn out. But I just wanted to get some playing stuff together. So here's a card base. It is your standard card base, half a piece of cardstock in your market, and I used Daffodil Delight as the base. I cut a piece of basic white to stick on the inside, so that standard layer that you would put on the inside of yours that is 1/8 of an inch all the way around. So if you cut this piece of white 1/4 inch smaller than your card base, it'll give the 1/8 of an inch border all the way around on the inside. And then the piece we're going to work on, which I've chosen Old Olive, and you can make this bigger. There's a couple of thoughts on this when I started playing with it. I have cut it so that it will fit 2 layers in on my card front. but I could have made it bigger and then trimmed it down when I was done. In hindsight, that might be a good way to do it as well if you're wanting to ensure that you've got a lot of good sticky on here. And then the secret ingredient for this is an adhesive sheet. So this piece is big. We got to cut this baby down. So these come here in this pack of 12 6 by 12 inch pieces. The item number is 152334. This is a great product. I use it like all the time. Normally, when I am using adhesive sheets, here's a little tip from my craft room, I will cut the adhesive sheet just a wee bit smaller than the piece I'm cutting into, because usually I'm using adhesive sheets to cut die cuts out. And that way it doesn't squish that adhesive onto my plates on my die cutting machine. In this case, I want it to go all the way to the edges. So my piece here just happens to be 3 3/4 by 5. So I'm going to do the same for my adhesive sheet. So I'm going to cut it. Oh, and keep that. I tossed it over to the right here in my scrap bin. But keep that piece because it's amazing what you can use. In fact, we may even need it for this one. And then 5, 3 3/4 by 5. Okie dokie. And I'm going to pull another very helpful tool in, and that is my silicone craft sheet. I have 3 of them in my craft room for different purposes. One of them I use when I'm using sticky stuff, and one I use for doing techniques onto it, like adding color to embossing paste. And the other one I use for taking my dies and making them embossing folders. That's another little fun technique I like to play with. Okay, so I've got this, and what I want to do is add the sheet to it. And the reason I brought the craft sheet in is because it might spill out over the edge, and I don't want to get sticky all over my grid paper. So you see I grabbed the first section of tear off from this, and then I placed it down, and then I grabbed the next piece of backing off, and it just, you don't have to. I just find it's easier to lay it down than if I get a whole big sticky sheet and then here I am playing with trying to get it together. All right, so there we go. It's down, but it's never quite where you need it exactly because you can't press easily with your hand. So grab your bone folder and run over it, and that will help transfer the adhesive off its next backing sheet. Ready so that it stays right on your cardstock. All right, I'm going to move this out of the way for a moment, and I'm going to pull in some strips of paper. So when you have 6 by 6, that's not what this pattern paper is. This is the Floral Delight Designer Series paper, and but when you have 6 by 6, often you have that piece that you cut off, even 3/4 of an inch, but an inch is kind of preferable. I wanted larger mosaic tile pieces. You can have them as big or as small as you want. So you're going to take ones that coordinate. They don't have to be from the same stash or the same pack, but if they coordinate, that helps with your mosaic. So this is a very haphazard kind of technique. So if you're worried about exactly what sizes to cut, you need to put that aside and just go. You just need to take your scissors and just cut. And I am not cutting triangles, but I'm sort of cutting triangles. I'm just cutting a bunch of pieces, and I'm going to have both sides to work with. I'm probably not going to need all of them, but I wanted a variety of different papers. So there with the dark green showing up, you can see how I'm just snipping away. I know. Some people, this is like, I can't do that. What are you doing? That is crazy, girl. Get a paper trimmer. But no, this is what this is. This is how this technique works best. And if you have a spot where it doesn't line up as nicely, and I'll show you because I'll probably do that, you can put your greeting there or your ribbon there. Done, easy, no problem. Oops. Okay, so that one's got a little bit. I didn't cut it straight. I wiggled a bit, so I'm going to cut that edge off. So if that happens, I think a straight cut across is probably your best friend. So, you know, just play with it. Because some of these we're going to have to cut down because we need extra little pieces and bits to fit in. So that's what the really odd shaped ones will end up working as. Okay, so we now have a whole bunch of cut up pieces. I didn't speed that up at all. That's exactly what I did. And we are ready to start putting our mosaic together. So we're going to pull the silicone craft sheet back in, and our piece of old olive that has the adhesive sheet on it. I've waited purposefully this time, not like last night when I practiced again. I've left the sheet on until I'm ready to go. I might also use my take your pick tool, the one with the putty end, which personally I don't use as much the putty end. I use all the other attachments, but this is kind of nice for picking these up because we're going to be on a very sticky surface here. So let's peel this backing off. You can use the edge of your take your pick tool. You can use your nail. I'm just going to use my nail. Okay, so we used our bone folder to apply it really well. And you want to, as you're peeling back, this is just kind of maybe the tricky part, you want to make sure that your edge has adhesive on it. And I'm going to try to tilt it into the light to see. There we go. So there's the shiny. You want to see that you've got shiny to the edge. And if you don't, there's a spot where there isn't a wee bit of adhesive. That's where you want to put your flat piece of paper over it. You want to, once we lay all of the various bits down, you're going to have space in between that we're going to heat emboss. And so you want to make sure there's adhesive there for the most success. So now I'm going to use my take your pick tool to hold this while I peel this guy back. There we go. All right, I got a lot of adhesive on this. This one worked out great. Awesome. Okay, so we're going to start in a corner, any corner, doesn't matter where, and whatever pattern you want. And you can leave as much or as little behind where it's sticky. See that? I think I put my hand up against it. Piece of white, that'll work. There you go. So you can see how there's a bit of green here and a bit of green here, but they have sticky on it. So you want to leave a little bit. You don't want to cover the whole thing because we're going to be adding some beautiful color to it. Woo! Oh, you silly thing, you fell down. Again. There we go. Okay. So now we're going to start placing the other pieces. And this is, once again, a bit of a haphazard thing. I've added this one here and I've left a little space between these two. I'm not trying to make it a perfect, a perfect line in between. In fact, it looks way better if it's not perfect. But I did find the more odd angles I had left over, the little more challenging it was to fill in those odd angles. So that takes just a wee bit of practice. But I'm good with going ahead with these. Sometimes I'm good with my take your pick tool, and sometimes I'm just a bit challenged by it. So I'm going to just move on here. And you can leave as wide or as thin a border as you might like. Where's that one? Well, there's a green piece. Because I know we're going to have green, but this has cute little dots on it. So let's kind of move this one up like that. There we go. Flip a few over so we have a variety of patterns to work with. There we go. So this one here, I kind of was thinking I want to get that into that corner bit. Probably overthinking it, but we'll just snip off a wee bit. There we go. And we'll just keep going all the way around. And I'm not going to make you look at me do all this. I have a piece that's already finished for the next step. So you don't have to watch me do all of this. And don't worry about the pieces hanging off the edge because we're going to fix those. We're going to cut them off and we will have lots to work with. And you can even, in an area here, you could cover up a piece and have to, it's not going to look odd. I mean, I'm talking like this is something you're going to be stressed about, but I did find it, because I'm a methodical person, I did find it a bit challenging to find the best way to do this. And so I would continue on. There's this piece here. I haven't used this in a little bit. That. And this piece here. I hope you've enjoyed the presentation so far. I need to catch up this afternoon when my company leaves to see what the other gals were up to and make some of those myself. So this one's the brown pattern, and I'm going to try to pull it in here. It's a great way to use up a whole bunch of strips, especially when they're nice coordinating pieces. All right, so you get the idea. We're just going to keep going all the way around, adding more and more pieces to it. Oh, and when you're done, we're going to pretend that we've got it all done so we don't spend too much time on this part, because I've got more to share. Then you're going to sprinkle your heat emboss powder on there. So we've got the Wow embossing powder trios. This group is basics with black, clear, and white. We have a separate one with metallics. So that's what I used for these. What I do with mine is I stick them into Rubbermaid tubs. And I have these teeny spoons I got from the dollar store. And I would just put my items in there and scoop it up right in there. So I dump the whole thing in here rather than working from the little jars all the time. You just dump what you don't need back in there. So yeah, you sprinkle it all over and heat set it. And if you don't have a heat tool, we have a fantastic one in the catalog, and it is perfect temperature for bringing all of these and melting them down. And so it's your adhesive sheet that is the glue that's holding your embossing powder in place. So I didn't want to put my heat tool on and have it be all loud and everything. So I did this part last night. And that is my piece of 3 3/4 by 5 old olive. And my bits that I did. And then I sprinkled my embossing powder and heat set it. And I used the gold on this one. Let's get this stuff out of the way. I can finish that other one later. And we'll take this to the next step. So flip it on over, grab your paper snips, or you can put it through your paper trimmer. I'm not confident I would get that straight. And using my old olive cardstock piece as a guide to butt my scissors up against, or my snips up against, I can go ahead and trim along here and get all this excess bit off. And you can do this, I did this last night just so I was prepared for today, but you can cut it off immediately after it's heat set. There's no waiting time on embossing powder that's heat set. Once it's set and it's good. There we go, the last little segment here. So there's our back, flip it over, there's our beautiful front. We'll get rid of these pieces. So yeah, to me these are garbage. To some they're still scraps, but they go in my garbage recycle bin. All right, there's my piece that I'm done with. And here I found that a little bit of the embossing powder, I must have had some adhesive on this little piece here, and so there's a little bit of extra gold fleck, which just adds to it all. Now we want to put our card together, but I want to share a couple of other techniques. So this is the Coordinating Daffodil Delight and ink and a blending brush, and then I have the butterfly accents. These are cool. I love these. I really do. And so what I do with them, because they're just white, I want to add some dimension and some love and some life to them. I've embossed them, like dry embossed them, but I'm going to take today my blending brush and add some color to them. So I was thinking I might use my take your pick tool to hold it in place. I'm not that coordinated this morning. Just one-handed motion is good. All right, and then if I was really smart, I could have taken a piece of white and done this. Placed my, for the inside of my card. Ooh, let's do that. Ooh, learning on the fly. Okay, here's my piece that's going on the inside of my card that I showed you at the beginning. I'm going to lay this like this and hope this is going to work out well. So now I'm going to add my ink to my beautiful butterfly accent and hold it in place. I could have used some temporary adhesive to hold it down. Yeah, that would have been a good idea. But I wanted to see if it would work to have the back or the negative of it stay on my layer. Oh yeah, I like how that turned out. Look at that. So that's the bottom right of my inside layer, and it's just got the negative of that. So no waste there. Okay, so my butterfly is set to go. And then I also wanted to show you, you probably have done this before, but just in case you have not, I like to color my ribbon. I often like to just buy our white ribbon. So this is the 1/2 inch. It's an online exclusive, and it is 1/2 inch or 1.3 centimeter woven ribbon. And then I take my old Stampin' Blends. So over time, when you have Stampin' Blends and you're using them lovingly, you will find they fray a little bit. It just happens. Well, don't throw them out. I keep the frayed ones for things like this. And then I can just go ahead and add that there. So I'll replace one. I find that there's certain colors I use Old Olive an awful lot. It's my favorite green. And so I will have my Stampin' Blends replaced just because they fray or I use them up. Literally, use that ink up. And so I keep this guy on the frayed one to do stuff like this. So I'm going to just use this on my scratch paper so I'm not making a mess anywhere. It mostly dries. It depends on the ribbon, of course. I tried this with Poppy Parade the other day, and a ribbon that had some synthetic fibers into it, and it didn't dry quickly, and I ended up with the Poppy Parade kind of bleeding out a bit. So know your ribbon. This one here, the woven, was perfect. It was perfect to use for drying quickly. All right. And you can go for a full-on and give it deep, deep, deep color, or this one has a bit of a variegated look to it. And I do color the back if I think I need it so that when I tie it into a knotter that both sides will have some color on it. So I can feel that it's a little bit damp, but I think if I hold it here and run it along the paper, I don't see it bleeding out, so that's good. I find with ribbon that you color with your Stampin' Blends, it gets a bit stiffer property to it, and so you might find that it's a little easier for tying your bows or having them be stiff and stay in place the way you might like them. All right, let's go back to our card base. We're going to add our insert. I really hope you've been enjoying this weekend's so far yesterday and now today, and we'll try some of our techniques and share your projects with us. That would be cool. We have a PDF document that we are putting together following all the presentations with pictures and products we used and some measurements and such. And so you can get that PDF when you place an order with your demonstrator that invited you to this event and use their host code. In my case, I don't have a host code, and that's fine. If you place your order with me, we'll work all that out. Okay, yeah, so there's our card front. And then we are going to put this on here. Isn't that stunning with the gold? Wow. And before I do that, I had cut a wee bit of this wide 1.5 inch mesh ribbon that we have in the January to April mini, because I kind of thought I wanted to put it around just as more gold accent, and then the ribbon here. Might be a lot, but I'm going to put it on anyway. I bet I can get 2 pieces out of it. Oh yeah, I'll cut this piece in half since I cut it anyway. I think it was a cast off from my class last month. So let's cut this guy in half. And I'm going to stick it behind. So just down here at the bottom. This is where you'll want to look at where you might have some spots that didn't take the embossing powder. So there's a little spot here where the green's showing through. I think it just adds to it. Same here. I think it just adds to the mosaic look. But you might want to cover some spots up if there's spots that you want to hide. And so I need a little bit of tear and tape. And that will hold my mesh down. But I'm also going to put some dimensionals around it. You could use regular Scotch tape, but I'm a tear and tape kind of gal. Works well for me. So fold this over. And then make sure this one's lined up when I fold it over too. There we go. And we're wrapping our ribbon before we glue it to the card front because I won't be able to do it afterward. Okay, so now that this is fully dry, I really feel how much stiffer it is than the normal ribbon. Where's the ribbon? I'll show you here. I think it will show. So when I hold this, it's very loose. When I hold this one, it's got so much more firmness to it. Almost like it was ironed with starch. Somebody will probably say that's exactly what happens when you add ink to it, but the science people will know that. All right, so then I'm going to take it around here, and bows are overrated, so we're going to tie a knot. I wrapped it right around. Oh, I like how this is turning out. And then I'll do my little knot. You'll have to let me know if you tried coloring your ribbon and how that worked out for you. And once it's dry too, like it needed to dry to its full color. Oh shoot, look at that. I twisted it at the back. I don't think I want that. So we'll try again. Here we go. So I tie my knot like this. People ask because I tend to be able to get nice flat knots. So I take the bottom one and I put it over, and then I take the left one over top and under, and then I put it perpendicular to how the knot is going to land, and then I hold where the knot is, and then I take the bottom one around and through. And when I pull both of them, I know some people just pull one. When I pull them, it typically gives me a flat knot. And today it's being fun. There we go. That's a little better. And just a little bit easier for mailing, and it has a little bit nicer look, I think. And then I'll just cut these off on an angle. And voila, there we go. Somewhere I'm going to add my butterfly. And you know, I had put a greeting together. I did this ahead of time to save some time because I thought, well, maybe I'll want this greeting, but I think maybe I won't. I'll make this a note card that has no greeting on it, and I'm good with that. Looking for my silicone mat here, because I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the back of these paper accent butterflies. Now, they don't have any adhesive on them, and they're already die cut, so it's not like you can add them. But there's big spaces that you can take your glue and just put little dots here and there. I bet a couple of mini glue dots would work too if you're not a glue dot girl, or liquid glue girl. I should say liquid glue crafter. There we go. Flip this guy back over, and we're going to stick him here. And I'm fine if the butterfly's not fully down everywhere. I just wanted another little element. In fact, I might peel back the wing a bit. I like them to have life, like they're flying around. There we go. Add a little bit more. And then I'm just going to use some dimensionals on here, in the back of my front layer. So that was a few techniques, the mosaic tile being the main one, and then coloring your ribbon with your Stampin' Blends. Use the old ones, or use the edge that's frayed, and coloring your paper accent butterflies with blending brush and some ink. So I really did enjoy doing this. I don't think it would be a beginner class or a monthly card class. Card, I think it might be a little bit of a challenge, but bringing these other ones back in, I think this is doable. This was just a strip, and I heated it with the clear, and so that cardstock that was done with the clear, the cardstock is Old Olive, so that's why it looks like it's just green behind. Made it shiny though. And then using some really bright ones. So this was Floral Delight Designer Series paper. This is Friends of the Ocean. This is Lily Pond Lane. And this was the, ooh boy, Fly Away. I've forgotten now. This is the one with the, okay, let's find it. This is, this DSP is in the annual catalog. Any of them really will do because they all have stuff that go with them. So here's the Lily Pond Lane. And then this other one was one of the first ones that I got. Here it is. Adventurous Sky Bundle with the Take to the Sky Designer Series paper. I loved how that one turned out. All right, I hope you like this technique. I hope you'll give this a chance, a try, and do let us know. Coming up after me today for the rest of your day, right away is Angie at the top of the hour. Then Ginny, Maureen, and closing us out is Leanne. And a reminder that Chrissy will come on live on Monday and share one more project with you. If you would like to place an order, if you're in a position to place an order and you're one of my customers, please contact me. Otherwise, contact the demonstrator who invited you to our event and use their host code, and you will qualify to receive the PDF document that we'll be sending out. There's a deadline on the post when you need to have your orders in by. And yeah, enjoy the rest of the weekend. Our next one is May 9th and 10th. We're going to be featuring products from the new annual catalog, so you don't want to miss that one. Thanks again, everyone. Enjoy your Saturday. Bye now.